This is Carole Bennett, everybody. Carole, I mean, I already know because you've been a student in entrepreneurship for a while, but tell us a little bit about your background, what you've done, if you like, and how you found your way into the coaching certification.
Right. The main businesses I've had, that I've had in the past, I've been an IT translator for 15 years because I've always loved languages. That's what drew me to that sector. Then, becoming pregnant, having my first child, realized that I needed to change careers. So I reassessed what I was doing, became a reflexologist completely by chance. And then I am still running my reflexology practice at the moment. I'm not planning on giving up on it because I still love what I'm doing. And then I just, I think for the past 3-4 years, I think it was pre-COVID, I did more and more training on self-development, mindset. I really was drawn to that. And the coaching, I just felt the coaching certification just came at the right time. It just seemed to tick all the boxes because of things that are going on in my life at the moment. And and I just do trust my instinct, and I just felt that's what I had to do. So,
okay. It's interesting as well because you do reflexology. I bet you get time to sit and talk to your clients all the time. And then you're realizing, I bet like you're kind of giving advice, a bit like hairdressers or beauticians, when you have that kind of one-on-one interaction with people, you have conversations where you realize like where people are struggling or, what you can help them with, and adding another service to your business, which would be coaching. I guess that seems like a logical next step.
It's a logical next step, but originally that was not even the reason why I did the certification. I just wanted, it was more for personal reasons. I don't know if you want me to go into that, but it was originally it was really for me because I think like many women who run a business, we all go through ups and downs about, our confidence, all the obstacles we go through. And I really wanted to help myself because obviously, personal life as well, I've got issues. And I thought it was really
important. Wait there, can I stop you? Yeah. Haven't we all? And then we can add on top menopause, perimenopause.
Yeah, exactly. So it was for me, the main reason for going into the coaching was, yes, it was going to really help me personally, for me and for my children, because I really wanted to help my children, lead their best life. That's my ultimate goal. But I just noticed as well that with my clients, and I'm like that in life, or I've always been. I know I've noticed I'm changing, but I've always been the person who just gives advice, and that's not. Have you got a phone? Sorry.
No, go on.
Yeah. So I was just saying, just giving advice, actually, I've just noticed it more and more, especially with my teenager.
Yeah.
They don't take anything in. They just ignore everything you say. They do not listen. And I noticed that with my clients, as much as I wanted to help them, sometimes they would agree with what I would say, but really they wouldn't put into practice what I was suggesting. And now I know why. I think the coaching has just showed me that listening is more important than giving advice all the time.
This is interesting as well, because I think you wanting to do it to become your own best coach.
Yes, absolutely.
And then being able to impart what you learn and the different skills onto your kids. Have you managed to do that? Because I know you're nearly like certified now, aren't you?
Yes, I'm really finished.
Really done. So have you noticed a difference?
I have noticed in the way I approach my teenage son, the interaction I've got with him. It's I won't lie, it's still, it's still a roller coaster. It's still hard because, trying to find, it's all about finding the right time, the right, the right way of talking to him. But I've also noticed, and I'm just still amazed by when I talk to my twins, because there was one that I really wanted to help because of his mindset as a whole. And then sometimes he just comes up with the things I've told him, weeks ago. And I just say, yeah, wow. I thought he was not listening. And he's actually repeating what I said.
Do you know what? This happens. And this is why it's so important for us to, I don't want to say she's like, be the best version of ourselves, but like, even like learn the skills, because they're a set of skills. You can learn it. It's not just like, oh, well, this is just who I am. I'm just this like crazy busy mum all the time who's just, you know, juggling everything and trying to spin plates. Actually, if you learn the skills, you know, it doesn't have to be that way. You can learn a set of skills that will change things. And when I've, and in fact, I've learned them from Joe, who's the certification tutor too. When I've told William things, I've heard him like at his rugby match, when one of the boys is like, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose, you know, like they've lost it or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I've heard William say to him, like, no, we're not, mate. Think about us winning. We're going to win this. And I think, that's so, I mean, it's only a trivial thing, right? But you think that's what you're telling them and showing them. And I see him being really empathetic with somebody else. And I think, wow, like everything goes in.
Yeah, I think it starts with us, because it's just, I mean, sadly, they're not going to learn it at school, because the majority of teachers aren't, you know, trained that way.
No,
and that's why I wanted to, you know, that might sound controversial, but that's what I was trying to rebel against that as well. I just wanted especially my elders, having gone through COVID, and, you know, I just wanted to show him that actually, you know, what they've been told at school, especially in secondary, it's not helping them. And there is another way, you know, they might not conform to the norm, but it doesn't mean that they won't make it or they won't be successful in life, because there's so many other ways they can actually achieve whatever they want.
You know, I mean, it's crazy that I remember William coming home and says, Mum, I have to go to uni, don't I? And I said, no. And he said, well, that's what the teacher said, like we should go to uni. And I was like, not if you don't want to. He was like, did you go to uni? I said, no. It's like, you've got a nice life. I said, yeah. He said, so you can still do okay if you don't go to uni. I was like, yes, mate, but it depends what you want to do. Like, if you want to be a doctor, you're going to have to go to uni. And he's like, no, I don't think I'll be a doctor, Mum. I don't like blood. I was like, oh yeah, good point.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right. What were you nervous about, Carole? I know you were obviously, you know, like you wanted to do it for yourself. So I guess that waylays a little bit of the nerves, putting pressure on, I'm doing this and I have to build a business from it. But what were you a little bit apprehensive about, maybe considering doing it, you know, in that kind of, when you were in that spot?
When I was first started, especially, you know, realizing that a couple of these students were, I'd already had some coaching experience, that made me feel, you know, there's, you know, who am I to actually get into that kind of business? I'm not going to be able to, you know, how am I going to become one? You know, how am I going to be a successful one? You know, for that matter. But I just realized that I was doing it, as I said, for me. I wanted to build a business, hopefully, and I just thought, you know, if I can actually transform myself as a result and help my kids, that would already be brilliant. So I had the fear, but this has since more or less disappeared because of the way the program is run, all the help that we get, all the practice that we do, all the case studies that I've learned have taught me a lot. So I wouldn't say that I'm, you know, 100% confident, but most of the fear is gone. And if I can help at least a few people, they'll be happy.
I love that, because I think, you know, everybody gets a bit of imposter syndrome. I also think that it's almost vital for us to always check ourselves with like value and delivery. So if we're questioning ourselves, where it just slows us down a bit to just be like, am I doing this right? Do I have the skills to actually deliver? Am I delivering enough value? That's a good thing. If it slows you down to the point where it's stopping you from moving forward, that's not such a great thing. But I guess with the skills that you've learned in the certification, it helps you to overcome these kind of waves of like imposter syndrome or lack of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. You learn, you apply it first to yourself, because that's the only way to actually believe that what you're doing is working. Then, you know, without realizing it, you apply it. If you've got children, you apply it to your kids, whether they like it or not. And then, you know, so you practice. And for me, I think the biggest help in the end was practicing with my peers on the, you know, during the Q&A sessions, because we go all throughout the program, and to top it all was all the case studies and the feedback I got. So even though I was doubting myself,
let's go into let's go into these case studies, because I know that number one, it can be the thing that people are most scared about, like, oh, I don't want to do it if I'm going to have to be tested, or, you know, I'm going to have to be uncomfortable. But the only way to get better, we all know, like, practice makes progress, I believe. Don't think of perfection, but like practice makes progress. And so I know at the beginning, like you were a bit nervous about doing the case studies, even though you've done them in your reflexology practice, I know. But we put a post into like my membership community, which Carole is a part of, and you get that with the certification too, of like, does anybody want a session, a coaching session, so I can use you as a case study? And it went kind of wild, didn't it?
It did. I had to, unfortunately, I had to turn down quite a few. But I mean, all these people that I had to turn to, I've replied to them individually, you know, or every single one of them, I've sent them a message. So I think all these lovely ladies, if they're still interested, you know, my fellow students will have a space for them. But it's
all the new certification students, there's a pile of people just waiting for you to practice on them.
Yeah, and there's more students coming on as well. So I mean, there'll always be the opportunity, I think. So it's you know, as even if you don't manage to get one straight away, you will.
And sometimes I think it's a bit more scary thinking like, oh my God, I've got to do this on my sister or my auntie or my friend, someone I know is a bit cringe or whatever, you know, like, oh, I don't want to do it. With the great thing is we've got a pool of people just waiting for you to practice on.
Yeah, absolutely. And I could just got so carried away. I ended up doing twice as many case studies as I was supposed to. I realized that when I was doing the writing up, I thought,
you know what, though, Carole? Do you know what?
Sorry.
Do you know what? When I started like my coaching business, I did 30 like one-to-ones for free. They're in essence case studies. That gave me a few different things, which is an amazing practice for everybody to do. It doesn't matter what type of business you're going into, really, but especially with coaching, is that it gave me testimonials, their reviews back of how they found their session. It gave me constructive feedback of like, oh, I could have done that better. It gave me like, I recorded it. So I looked at it and thought, you didn't let us speak as much as you could have done. You should have asked this question or that question. So it gave me like feedback for me to like get better as well. And also just gave me more confidence. Did it give you more confidence when you started doing it? Like,
it did, you know, the confidence builds up as you go along, you know, because you just realize that, you know, there's something, because obviously you go into each case study with a kind of a semi-plan, knowing that you want, because obviously they've told you what they want to work on. So you've got an idea in mind. It doesn't necessarily go according to plan, and it shouldn't really if you are flexible enough. But then you just realize, actually, I did manage to talk about this, but I need to study a bit more, because obviously I didn't have the tool right to, you know, I wasn't sure about how to use it. But I think what was as well very important is that when I did, you know, all the case studies, it just, you know, what you were talking about this morning on the challenge is that finding your niche. You just also realize as you go along which parts do you like, you know, which issues that you like to deal with, you know, where you feel more confident because of your experience and how you approach it with the tools, how you. So it's really helpful in that respect. You start with not knowing who you want to deal with or which issues you want to deal with, and then by the end you've got a better idea. I wouldn't say not 100% yet, but I've got a better idea of who and why I want to help them.
Couple of points there that I think are really great that you bring up. First of all, people sometimes don't start because they're like, I don't know what I want to do or who I want to help. I don't know what my niche is. We know this is so important, but actually you very often, 99% of the time, you don't know until you start learning the skills, and then you start applying them, doing some case studies and thinking, I really enjoy this. Because if you pick a niche, you like everything planned around it, go in, you're like, I don't really like doing this. Then you've got to start again and unpick. Whereas if you just kind of go and trust that it will develop, each step, it will become clearer and clearer, then that's a different approach, isn't it? And then you become more confident in it. You're like, I know what I want to do, and this makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I just take the example of my reflexology practice, when I first started, because what I was going through at the time, my idea was to actually deal with the fertility issues. Okay. And I did extra, you know, advanced training specifically in that industry, thinking that's what I wanted to work on. It didn't happen that way. You know, I got some clients, but it led me towards other things. And then so, you know, it opens your eyes to what's, you know, you've got an ideal, but it's not always what people actually need.
That's a perfect example. A perfect example for your reflexology. I thought I wanted to do this, but when I started, I realized actually that's not what I want to do. So take the pressure off finding a niche, because like you say, as you go through the certification, you'll get more of an understanding of what it is that you want to do. Perfect. How does this compare? I know you've done other like certifications programs in the past. How does this kind of level of support, level of like depth of knowledge, how does it compare?
It's the ongoing support is absolutely amazing. I mean, Jo is so helpful to answer any questions we have. She's also very encouraging. You know, she builds our confidence just by, you know, acknowledging what we're doing right anyway. And also what I really love about it is the community that we've created within the community. We've got, you know, a little group of students. We help each other. We know we have different background, different skills to add to what, you know, our coaching business in the future. So, you know, everybody's really helpful when we've got doubts, when we've got questions, when we, you know, it's really a really tight, you know, a very close community. So it's going forward. I think it's just there's no competition. We know what we're good at, and I think we'll really be helpful towards one another. In the next few years.
I think there's nothing more powerful than being around people who are on the same journey with you. And some people will excel in some areas and some of you will excel in others, but you all like want to help each other. I guess that's a benefit as well of being around other people who want to be coaches, because, you know, inevitably you are people who want to help other people. So in that environment, you all want to help each other as well. And you've all got specific skills, stuff that you already bring to the table. So that must be a really great feeling knowing you've got that ongoing.
Absolutely. And as I said, it's just knowing as well that coaches need coaches, you know, it's just going forward. We know we are, because we've practiced to one another, we know how everybody operates. And obviously we're very likely to use each other in the future to try to get us out of a funk, like you know, Jo says.
That's amazing that you know that your training has been such to a level that you would actually go and hire another fellow student as your coach.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we know who they are. We know what they know, because obviously we've gone through the same program. So we're confident that they're able to help us. So
wow,
so I think that says a lot. Yeah.
It does. It really says a lot. So just a final one then. What would you say to people who are thinking about doing the certification?
I would say go for it. I mean, for me, it's just follow your intuition. For me, there was, you know, some people think of the price point, something other people think of the length of the the study. But it's just so well done that you can do it, you know, over 12 months. So you can, you know, if you follow Emma's teaching about planning, you know, you just you know, you set up your goal and all the little milestone in between. And I think the reward, you know, even if you're not planning on doing it as a business, just the personal rewards are so high that I think just for that it's worth it. But you've got to feel it, you know. If for me, I just go by instinct. I just felt it was for me. So I didn't hesitate.
And you've excelled in it, especially with all the case study feedbacks you've had. Your confidence has grown since then. You know, one of the things that you were a bit fearful of was like the confidence side of things, like the imposter syndrome, but you've learned the skills to overcome the imposter syndrome, but also you've got to practice on people, and they've loved it, haven't they, Carole?
They have, yeah. So now I've got another fear that I've just got to work on. It's just, yeah, I've done everything that was all planned. That now I've got to plan the next step, which is launch the business. But it's
that's okay, because you also get my course. This is the new thing, is my how to build a coaching business step by step, and all the support of the mentoring sessions and everything inside of Entrepreneurship ongoing. So that's no problem, believe me.
Yeah, I know everything is there. I know everything is there. It's just, you know, as I said, I just need to plan it. I haven't planned beyond. So I know what I need to do. I just need to put it in my diary.
We'll help you plan it out. Carole, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And I think anyone as well joining the certification is just lucky to get around you guys, because you are amazing. I've been interviewing others as well, and it's really made me kind of jealous of this little inner circle that you've all created. I'm like, I want in.
They're also lovely. They really are. So
yes.
We're really lucky. I think, as I said, just being surrounded by like-minded people is just priceless. you know, because I can't talk about coaching to anyone else. So it's just, you know, be able to talk. Sure.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.